This recital is really a compilation of a lot of my favorite pieces that I've sung over the years. And also, when I'm putting together a recital, I like to look for variety in a lot of different things, including language, time period, style, and the emotion that the character is singing. So some of these pieces also have been ones that have been in my repertoire for many years. I started singing some of these in high school, including the Willow Song from the Ballad of Baby Doe. And that one is really special to my heart because it's one of those songs that the more you sing it and the longer you sing it, the more you discover about it. And I'm always unpacking new things about it that I find really fascinating. And so it's one of those special songs that I like to sing often. I think the most important thing that a pianist and a singer need to have when they're working on recital is a good communication. And obviously this isn't coming through words, but being able to feel what the other person is doing, anticipating their moves, and really having the sense of collaboration is extremely important.
There's a lot. It starts even from the moment on stage of the singer communicating when she's ready to sing. When if the piece begins right with her first word and there's no piano introduction, I have to catch her breath. I have to catch her inhalation and come off of that with the tempo in mind as well. Beyond that, it's the ability to flex and to lean forward together, knowing, listening for the consonants of the singer, that my notes line up with her vowel. That if I do that, I've done my job. There's also that collaboration of just talking it through in rehearsal of, do you want to move forward here? Do you need extra time to recover here after a long phrase? What is it that you need? So that rehearsal time is taken to establish those things, and then there's a certain amount of spontaneity that is involved once you're on stage too. That makes it sound less rehearsed and more just natural and free-flowing.
One of the challenges with the recital is, unlike opera rolls, you're singing for 40 minutes straight with no pauses. And that's really a test of your stamina, especially because there's so much variety within a recital. And it's a test of stamina, and it's a test of your ability to shift characters and emotions quickly. So that's something that I find really challenging with recitals. Also, the fact that unlike an opera, there is no spectacle, there's no costume, set, all of that, and it's just you and the music. You, the pianist, and the music, and that's all you have to work with. So you really have to build your characters just from your own imagination and help the audience feel that as well.
I have no idea how many recitals I've performed. As a collaborative pianist, I spend a lot of time learning new programs every year, as opposed to a concert artist who maybe takes a concerto around the country or a solo recital around the country. A collaborative artist is learning a program for a violinist here, a singer here, a trumpet player here. And so I have a lot of recitals under my belt. As far as special repertoire, I'm reminded of a memory that a singer named Jennifer Jones and I performed a recital when we were at CCM together. And the last lead in a Mahler set that we were performing was Ich bin der Welt abhanden gekommen. I am removed from the world. It's basically a hermit song in German. And we closed the group with that song. And it is so ethereal, and it ends in such a quiet space that we were challenging ourselves to stay with the piece, stay with the Lied, even into the silence. And we challenged the audience to not applaud at the end of the group for a long time. I think we held them for about 15 seconds in silence as we just held the mood there in that moment. Another instance, his more recent, because CCM was a few gray hairs ago, and that's with Manita Daniel Cox and Herbert Woodward Martin when we toured the Paul Laurence Dunbar poetry and music. Herb recited poetry, Manita and I performed songs set to his poetry, and some of the power. Vocal recitals have always had a special place in my heart, and the power behind the words, and then the words harnessed to music that just elevates that power. So that recital being all African American poetry, all African American, the lens of the African American being Paul Laurence Dunbar, just was very special.
I would say it's been kind of an experiment this whole time, especially with vocal training. And I've just been able to kind of take a step back and work on my voice for its own sake instead of working towards a specific goal, which has been really interesting because typically you have something that you're working towards, you move on, and that's it. And so this has been a really fun time to dig into some of my favorite old repertoire, reintroduce things that I learned a long time ago. And also, just as far as fun goes, I've been working on renovating my house, so lots of painting.
Well, for the first couple of months, I was still engaged in teaching my private students from the University of Dayton and my group piano students from the University of Dayton as well, online via Zoom, which has been a challenge, but we have risen to the occasion, and I continue with my private students on Zoom calls. The technology is still somewhat limited for piano students. I'm told it's maybe even worse for a vocal student. It's great for the human voice, those Zoom calls, but the piano is a different instrument, right? So that's one thing that has occupied my time. I've always had a fondness for languages, and I've reconnected with Duolingo and have been polishing up my German, my Italian, my French, my Spanish, and I'm learning Portuguese because my daughter-in-law is Portuguese. She speaks perfectly good English. I'll never be at her level in terms of being a Portuguese speaker. And I've found time to exercise that I have not had before. And I've reconnected with some of the solo literature that I have set aside over the years. I never liked sitting in a practice room for 4 hours, 6 hours a day, with the end result of sitting on a stage by myself playing a recital. But that doesn't mean I can't enjoy playing that music, even if I may never actually perform it again on stage.